Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So if you're new to fishing or just new to Yuma, you might be asking yourself, where's a good place to go fishing? So in this video, I'm going to show you all the best spots in Yuma to do just that. And stick around till the end where I show you some of the local businesses and online groups that'll help you catch the fish that you're after. One of which is considered an old secret honey hole that I bet some of the locals don't even know about. Stick around, let's dive in. Let's start with the easier ones first, the community fishing areas. These are man-made lakes that are stocked and maintained by the local Arizona Game and Fish Department. They hold a variety of game fish from bluegill, bass, catfish, common carp, and in the winter months, they stock them with trout. Check the link below for more details on that. All right, let's head on over to Google Maps and take a tour. Starting with a high-level view of the city of Yuma to help orient us. Let's start with the West Wetlands Pond. Located in the north of Yuma, adjacent to the Colorado River, this pond provides plenty of shoreline and shade for folks of all ages and abilities to enjoy. Public restrooms are close by. Zooming out and heading east to the Pacific Avenue Athletic Complex, otherwise known as the PAAC, this pond is the newest of the community fishing areas and is located north of the Yuma Palms Mall. Like the West Wetlands Pond, public restrooms are close by, and access to the pond by all ages and abilities makes this a great spot for everyone. Zooming out again and continuing east, we find Fortuna Lake. Quite honestly, I consider this a pond, but they've decided it's a lake, so I'm not going to argue, because some of the fish I've seen pulled out of it are certainly lake-sized fish. Most locals are familiar with this lake, and it does have some love-hate history. Recently closed to overnight camping, partly because folks, particularly in the winter months, would basically overstay there allowed 2 weeks and crowd out anyone coming to enjoy the public shoreline, which started to become someone's private property. Not to mention the trash and other issues that arose for long-term visitors. All that aside, it's a great fishing area with plenty of open shoreline. There is a porta potty, and while you can access it with a car, it's all dirt, so you need to be prepared. You're stepping closer to the wilderness here. Persons requiring wheelchairs may find this a bit more difficult to access easily. Zooming out again and moving northwest, we find what I consider our hidden gem of a community fishing area, Redondo Lake. First-timers may find getting in here a bit confusing since it shares some shoreline with an adjacent RV park, which does not allow access to the lake except by the folks staying at the RV park. The public needs to come in from an unmarked dirt road highlighted here. Like Fortuna Lake, you're kind of roughing it out here. They do have a porta potty, and there's a single T-style fishing dock on the lake, as you can see. But getting to it requires a walk down a semi-steep incline, which is not routinely maintained, so the brush commonly covers a lot of the path. There is a handicapped access point, but at the time of making this video, I cannot attest to its condition. What makes this a hidden gem to me, at least, is the unimproved boat ramp. It's a no-gas lake, so only electric-powered boats are allowed. Of course, kayaks, canoes, and float tubes are welcome. The only public fishing access is that dock, so unless you get out in a boat, you're really limited on where to fish. But from a boat, this place has some of the best community fishing in Yuma. There are steep banks, shallow areas, sunken trees, and plenty of other underwater structure that hold plenty of large fish. Our last community fishing area is located in Somerton, a small city located south of Yuma. I've never been to it, so I don't have much to say, but I do know folks have posted some big cats pulled from it. So if you live nearby, don't pass it up. Now let's talk about the canals. Yuma has a vast canal system which provides fishing at nearly every part. There are two main canals in the city, the East and the West Main Canal. I'll highlight them here. Look for areas that fish may relate to for cover, such as rocky banks, canal locks, etc. The fish are there, go explore and find them. A good place to start is the canals between 1st and 3rd Street on Avenue A. One fish to be aware of in these canals is the grass carp. These fish can become massive. Seeing a large one cruise by may make you think you saw a submarine. They are stocked in the canals to eat the weeds, and they love their jobs. You're not supposed to intentionally target them for fishing, and if you do catch one, release it unharmed, after your bragging rights photo, of course. Switching gears slightly, let's talk about the Colorado River since we're still in Yuma, starting with an area known as the East Wetlands. This area contains a man-made water system that is an offshoot of the river. There is some shoreline access by continuing north past the PAAC and going over a canal. There are no bathrooms, but a few picnic tables and plenty of shade. There is an unimproved boat ramp, so if you have a small john boat, kayak, or canoe, you'll enjoy some low-pressure fishing. Include tilapia among the fish you'll find here. Now let's talk a little bit about fishing the river, starting from the confluence, otherwise known as Shit Creek, to Morales Dam. The confluence is a popular spot for folks to enjoy the river. It's also a starting point for people using float tubes to trip down the river to Gateway Park. A kayak, canoe, or float tube could provide some great fishing, so as long as you have someone to drop you off and pick you up at one of the parks downriver, it'll be a great time. Gateway Park is another popular swimming area, and despite all the people splashing in the water, there's plenty of fishing to be done. Same goes for the West Wetlands, which offers a concrete boat ramp. The river is very shallow in these areas, so I wouldn't recommend your average bass boat. Small aluminum boats, john boats, are better suited here. The parks close at 10 p.m., so if you're planning to fish past then, consider the next area I'll discuss. Moving further west is an area known as Paradise Cove. This offers another unimproved boat ramp, which for those brave enough can give you fishing access all the way to Morales Dam or back up the river to the parks we just mentioned. If you head down the river, you're getting close to an area where a lot of migrant crossings occur, so be aware and don't venture too close to the dam. This area that I'm highlighting is about as far as I would recommend going. Paradise Cove is a secluded area which may be visited by people not interested in fishing, so be advised. Okay, back to our canal system. So Yuma also has a canal known as the Gila Gravity Canal, which starts at the Imperial Dam and works its way into Yuma and out further east. For the purpose of this video, I'll just encourage you to go exploring. Many parts are accessible by car, others require 4x4. You'll find plenty of areas where you can catch fish. Depending on the area, you'll find smallmouth, striped bass, among bass, bluegill, channel catfish. But a local favorite in this canal are the flathead catfish. These predators grow massive sizes, 20 pounds and more are not uncommon. They fight well and they're delicious. Just try to release the big ones, they produce more eggs as they grow. Moving on to our lakes. Closest to Yuma is Lake Mittry, also known as Lake Misery. This lake is exclusively a fishing lake, so no pesky water skiers or jet skis. Lake Mittry has a concrete boat ramp with a dock, and several fishing jetties, as well as first come, first served shoreline camping. There is a pit toilet in the parking lot and handicap parking near the ramp. A large shade area allows for groups to enjoy the area. There are long-term camping sites nearby too. There's a second boat ramp that is used mostly by smaller boats, kayaks, and canoes further away if you want to go explore that. A word of warning, Lake Mittry's mosquitoes are voracious. Since we're here, I'll include Betty's Kitchen. It's actually an access to the river, but it's right next to Lake Mittry, so we'll cover it here. Betty's Kitchen has a history that could be its own video. In short, during the 1930s and 40s, a cafe and bar was established there and was operated by a woman named Betty. To be honest, the area that we're talking about is actually past Betty's Kitchen, but we still refer to it as such. The boat ramp is unimproved and there are no toilets. The water level fluctuates considerably to the point that even small aluminum boats can't put in. Kayaks and canoes should not have an issue though. Even with high water, these smaller craft can get into the backwaters of this area where bigger boats can't. This area of the river is contained between two dams, Laguna Dam at the southern end and Imperial Dam to the north. Once in the river, the water depth varies from a few feet to over 40 in some areas. The fishing is great. While there's nothing to stop them, it's not popular with the water skiers or jet skis. Moving on, the next closest lake is Xanyo Xamshre. Recently renamed to this, so I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it right. This is a BLM lake with access to the Colorado River. $10 day use and $15 camping or overnight use. Pit toilets at the ramp and plenty of camping. I think reservations required for those though. This lake, like nearly all Yuma lakes, is only about 10 foot deep on average. There are submerged trees or structure, and during part of the year, the weeds are horrible. There is a channel that runs between the main lake and back to the back part of the lake, so don't miss out on the fishing in that channel or the back part of the lake. Right next door is Senator's Wash. This is another BLM paid access recreation area that is very popular with jet skis and water skiers. That doesn't mean you can't catch fish in it. There's plenty of striped bass, catfish, and largemouth bass to be found here, and it has some of the best and easiest camping around. There are pit toilets on both sides of the lake, and it's relatively easily accessible by car. If you want to pass on the $15 fee and have closer access to two other lakes, you want to continue north on Highway 95 and put in at a place called Fisher's Landing. Again, a place worth its own video, but for our purpose here, it's just another place to put your boat in to have access to the river next to two of our lakes. One of those is Lake Martinez. This popular lake is just north of Fisher's Landing and contains plenty of fishing opportunities. There is an area literally covered in submerged trees that is a haven for fish, as you probably know. Lots of area to explore, but little shoreline access. However, if you are active, reserve, or retired military, you definitely need to check out the Marine Corps campground located on Lake Martinez. Link in the description. An area called Meers Point has a boat ramp, some docks to fish from, and is technically still part of Martinez Lake. During the winter months, there is a desert museum worth visiting on your way there. Part of the year, the weeds are just atrocious here, so just be advised. Our last lake is Lake Ferguson. You can drive there, but it's a journey with very limited shoreline access. By boat, it's only a few minutes upriver from Martinez Lake. There is a duck hunting lodge located on this lake, but I honestly don't know much more about it than that. Man, so what started out as an idea for a quick video turned into quite a project. Anyone who thinks Yuma doesn't have anywhere to fish hasn't checked Google Maps. I didn't even talk about the fishing the Colorado River from Imperial Dam north. You can go for miles and eventually find yourself at a place called Picacho. The river is unpredictable. Sandbars routinely shift locations almost weekly, making reading the river an important skill to master. Jet boats are almost immune to these changes, but fishing boats with standard outboards are at a constant risk of running aground. Tiller outboards should be left in the unlocked position to allow for the motor to lift up in shallow water. Weekends on the river during the summer are very busy with jet boats, water skiers, jet skis flying up and down the river. Holiday weekends are especially crowded, so take that into consideration. If that's something you're interested in, I recommend joining a Facebook group called the Lower River Junkies, link below. Nights are almost always quiet though, and there are huge flatheads in the river, and there's nothing like a night out on the water. All right, it's time to talk about a few local businesses, places where you can get all the gear you need to catch all the fish that you're after. Full disclosure, none of these businesses or places that I'm about to tell you about are sponsoring this video. I'm not that big of a channel, that's not the point. I just want to let you know about these local businesses so you can go give them a try before you go to the big box stores that everybody already knows about. First up is the Hideaway Bait and Tackle Shop. Locally owned and operated, it is a favorite among the fishermen here for all the gear you'll need, including live bait. Most of the tournament sign-up sheets can be found here as well. If you're looking for custom rods, don't miss out on Taipan rods. Built not only to perform, but to last, and backed by their lifetime warranty. You can check a few out at the Hideaway Bait and Tackle Shop. Look up the CNC Bait Company on Facebook. These guys make one-of-a-kind soft plastics, from the ball drop worm to the little center swim bait. The Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club has been a mainstay for Yuma outdoorsmen since 1936. They host most of the bass and catfish tournaments throughout the year, as well as a kids fishing derby. They have monthly meetings, and as the name implies, they got you covered for both hunting and shooting. On to social media. If you're on Facebook, join the Yuma Fishing Forum. It's full of fishermen from all skill sets that will gladly give you the advice you need to get started. Just don't expect them to give you their secret spot. If catfishing is your thing, then join the 928 Flathead Boys Facebook group. If you want to learn how to catch these massive flatheads that lurk in these rivers and canals, there's no better place. They hold annual tournaments and provide you with tips, tactics, and advice on the heavy gear you're going to need to pull in one of these massive fish. And that just about does it for the video. But it wouldn't be fishing if we didn't have one last cast. And that one goes out to the OG of online fishing information here in Yuma. A place that predates all this social media and video websites like YouTube. Head on over to yumabassman.com and check out all the information that Bob Lalonde has to offer. All right, for you new fishermen or just new to Yuma fishermen, open up Google Maps and start looking. Grab your rods, throw them in your car, truck, bike, whatever, head on out, find your spot, catch your fish, and come on back here and tell us about it. See you in the next video. On to social media. If you're on Facebook, then join the Yuma Fishing Forum, full of fishermen from all skill sets that'll gladly get, oh my God, something's biting me. If catfishing is your thing, then join the 928 Flathead Boys Facebook group. If catfishing is your thing, join the 928 Flathead Boys Facebook group. If catfishing is your thing, join the 928 Flathead Boys Facebook group. I can't remember the second fucking sentence. If catfishing is your thing, join the 928 Flathead Boys Facebook group. If you want to learn how to catch the massive fish that